Did you hear that? What was that?
Yeah.
Jesse, are you being abducted by aliens?
No, I thought you were suddenly in a submarine.
That was weird.
Ready graphics? Ready theme?
Good evening. For your information tonight.
Hi, I'm Jesse Mullins.
And I'm Lauren Milberger.
And this is FYI.
The Murphy Brown Podcast.
Opens the door and surprise!
You know, wake up in the morning, sex is there.
I am cosplaying this immediately. I do not care who gets it.
It helps to have a live target. And on today's episode,
We'll be talking about Season 2, Episode 10, Brown Like Me, Part 1.
hi, this is Lauren.
And this is Jessie.
And we're back.
I'm so sorry. I was taking a sip of festive drink right as you were speaking.
How dare you?
I'm so festive, it gets in the way of my work.
Do you not want to share with our listeners what your festive drink is?
Y'all, so my favorite thing now is the Winter Wassail from Trader Joe's.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you saying that correctly or are you putting a funny lilt to it? Because I don't know what you're
lilt
saying.
Everything.
I know, and I enjoy the fun lilt, but I'm trying to figure out what you're saying.
Wassail all over the town, per the Christmas Carol. But yes,
Okay.
it is a Winter Wassail.
But you're
Trader
not.
Joe's.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a festive spiced punch of sorts. It's in a bottle. It's, we're not even sponsored by Trader Joe's, but I will give them all of my money because I can afford them.
Same.
But yes, it's lovely by itself. It's lovely with a little bourbon. All that to say, so excited to be here with you on one of our favorite two-parter episodes.
Yes, we love this episode, which is why we wanted to take the time to put all the research and the love into it so we could do it justice.
So much love for this episode for many reasons.
Many, many reasons. Also, after these two episodes, you will have seen this episode, so to speak, in a way that you've never seen it before, because it does not start, it does not middle the way you think it does. So this episode actually aired as 1 hour.
Oh, right.
The problem is that most people know it from syndication, where it was cut into two parts. Now, technically, though, it is two parts because a network buys a certain number of half hours. So this is episode 10 and 11, even though it aired as 1 hour.
Oh, I never think about that in terms of how we count the episodes, like how many episodes have been in the series because of that. Because of syndication, I've always thought this is as 10 and 11. But if we were going by their airing and by the original intention, we actually have fewer episodes in the series.
Yeah, and so this aired November 27th, 1989. It is written by Diane English, and it is directed by a young boy. Jesse, do you know? Do you know who it is?
Yeah, I've actually heard of him. I mean, not to be too much of a hipster, but
Okay,
I've heard
yeah.
of him. You may not have. His name is Barnett Kellman.
The Barnett Kellman.
Yes, that one. That young little I don't know what I'm saying, but
I'm sorry.
You guys know this joke.
And I'm
It's
sorry,
Barnett.
everyone.
We love Barnett.
This is a joke we find hilarious. And at
It
one
will not
point,
get old.
It will never get old to us. So it's old to you. We're so sorry.
It's a short burst of our own hilarity.
Yes. So something I didn't know, and I don't know necessarily if it is a fact, but it seems true because I found this on IMDb, which we all know can be edited by anyone, but this sounds about right because, usually I would like to have more than one source. We'll take it with a grain of salt. That this title is a take on the movie Black Like Me.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually don't know much about that movie. Do you know anything about it?
I know now.
It's from the 60s.
It is from the 60s. I had never heard of it. See, at least you had heard of it.
Yeah, I think I knew it. I think I thought it was a phrase. And then when I saw it was a movie, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Okay, so a little problematic. It is based on a true story of a white reporter who at the height of the civil rights movement went and darkened his skin to understand the realities of living like a black man in the segregated South.
Oh,
and then they made a movie out of it.
Oh, no. I'm glad I didn't know about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the only thing that it makes me think of right now, aside from, oh, no, is Tropic Thunder and Robert Downey Jr. in that movie as a joke on people who would do something like this, that's really terrible. I shouldn't be surprised because Lord knows it's not the first time that kind of thing has been done, but oh my goodness, in 64?
And the fact that it's based on a true story also just puts so many layers into it.
Yeah.
That we're not going to go into, but I thought, I feel like I have to mention this.
Yeah, that's heaven forbid they experience the realities of a black man's life by actually speaking to a black man. Heaven forbid
Right?
we speak to
Yes.
the people themselves.
Although it somehow reminds me of the Eddie Murphy skit where he puts on whiteface
Oh my God.
and
Yes.
then gets all this stuff for free. Like he's discovered this world. It's hilarious. He gets on a bus and they're like, no, you don't have to pay, man. It's a party.
That's funny.
Yes.
This one is. Do you know if that movie? I mean, I know we're being very tangential right now.
I
but
don't
is
think
that
it's a
movie
comedy.
Supposed to be a comedy?
I do not, in no way. Well, it says drama on IMDb, but
Great.
in no way would I ever think that this is supposed to be a comedy. I think this was dead serious. I don't even want to look at the pictures.
Well, aren't they just so brave? Anyway, moving on. So, so this episode is actually Candice Bergen's Emmy submission, which we've spoken about before in the past. Is many times you have to submit 1 or 2 episodes to show your entire body of work for the entire season. Mm-hmm. It makes sense why she picked this one. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of part 1, the music right at the beginning is a very familiar song to me in my childhood. Is "Ain't Nothing But the Real Thing" from 1968 by Tammy and Marvin. We've talked about Tammy and Marvin. The songwriters for this gorgeous song is Ashford and Simpson. The instrumentation in the song is by our beloved Funk Brothers. This song has been recorded by everyone. It was recorded by Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, Barry Manilow, even Justin Timberlake and Beyonce. Hearing this song is just very familiar. It sends me back to a certain place. It's just a nice, warm kind of groove song. It's a really nice way to open the episode.
Yeah, it is. That's one of my favorites for sure. And the fact that it was the first of their only 2 number 1 hits, like it totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. I forget if I clarified this the last time. I probably did because I just feel terrible. I got some things wrong about Tammy and Marvin. They were not in a romantic relationship.
Oh, yeah.
It is definitely a misnomer. They were just really good friends. So they're more like brother and sister. I had thought that she had fallen and died in his arms, which is like sounded crazy and over dramatic. And that did happen, but she didn't die then. She just collapsed in his arms.
Oh.
And
Yeah, sure, that makes
when she was very, very sick. So I just wanted to clarify. I think that it had been a story that I had been told as a kid and thought that I had really read it. And it just sort of came out as I was talking. It was not in my research. And it just goes to show you that, so many things can get into your mind as fact.
I mean, it's the Mandela effect.
Exactly. It is definitely the Mandela effect. Then maybe we have talked about this because we talked about the Mandela effect. I'm sure that we did on the show because I like to have the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth. Thank you very much. So we get into the episode?
Let's. And actually, Lauren, I would love for your help on the opening sequence. I feel like you know things about this that I do not.
Okay.
So what I have down is that it is a series of black and white shots of couples, a couple wee babes in there. I'm going to assume that that's the cast and crew's parents.
Yes. So
Okay.
it matches the cast that is up. Mm-hmm. The first name to show up is Candice Bergen, and her parents are quite famous. So a little bit. So that one is very obvious, but I'm about like 100%, if not 99.9% sure that this, just like previously, matches up to everybody.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I definitely... One, I was like, well, this would make sense. We've done this with baby pictures before. And also, I immediately recognized her parents.
Very glamorous too on the
they're gorgeous.
stairs to the plane. Oh, beautiful.
And there's nothing... Black and white makes everyone look real good. So.
Also, if you follow Faith Ford on Instagram, I've seen pictures of her mother.
Yes.
Who obviously looks fantastic now that I see what she looked like before. Like, wow, Faith, I see where Faith gets it.
Having the social media internet age makes it real easy for me to be like, are those Faith Ford parents? Yes, they are.
Yes.
So we have this lovely opening sequence to that beautiful song we just spoke of. We're seeing this series of couples and parents. We kind of know what we're leading into. And we open on the bullpen. Frank makes his way in from his office, as we have now established. That is the direction he's coming from. And he just says, hey guys, what's going on? Murphy and Miles are making their way in from the other side of the office. It's not really clear where they're coming from, but it is Murphy leading with Miles behind. And Miles is walking in such a way that his shoulders are up and his head is at a slight and very stiff right angle.
Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
If I may interrupt.
Oh, please do.
This is not how the episode actually opened.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So this episode does not start with the top of the story meeting, but actually starts with Miles and Murphy coming off the elevator. And of course, they are fighting about the fact that, as we do find out later, Murphy hit Miles.
It's, just a ding.
Just a ding. Now, what I love that, unfortunately, we do... So first of all, the script itself starts where the episode itself doesn't. So we have a little literal cut stuff from the day it was filmed.
We do have some exclusives here. I'm so glad you brought this up, Lauren.
Thank you.
So the script itself actually starts still in the bullpen in the morning. And we have Corky, Jim, Murphy, Miles, Frank, and bullpen extras are listed. But what matters is that it opens with Corky and Jim coming down the hallway together, which I'm so sad we miss as we so rarely see Corky and Jim together. Mm-hmm. There's such a fun little moment. So Corky's in the process of opening a letter. Let me share what she says. Well, and they just keep pouring in, Jim. At least 200 fan letters a week. It is so gratifying to see how the public appreciates the work I do. In fact, I like to start each morning by picking one at random and reading it with my morning coffee. It says, Jim just tolerates this. He pours coffee as Corky reads. Dear Miss Sherwood. She turns to the office. Can everyone hear me? The bullpen ignores her. I wanted to write and let you know how much I enjoyed your report on Barbara Bush last week. It is important to know about our first ladies and their opinions on key issues. I will always make sure to watch the program when you're on. Your lips were so red. I love the way you moved them, and I could see the wet spots where your tongue...
Hey, come on, read more, keep going.
This is disgusting. What kind of person would write such a thing like this?
Is his name Duncan D. Hicks?
Yes. How did you know?
He writes me about once a week. Sounds as though he likes your lips better than mine. But he spent 3 paragraphs on what I might look like lying on a dessert cart covered in chocolate.
Ugh. Corky crumples the letter, throws it into the trash.
And then we cut into what the actual episode is, which is still before we have this syndication episode. This happens a lot with our episodes because there's just more to cut than would normally be an original half hour. So Murphy comes off the elevator. So Miles, of course, is complaining about the fact that Murphy bumped into him.
She claims she tapped him.
But what I love that what we miss, there's literally a flashing vacancy sign on Murphy's desk that's just blinking. And we lose that completely for the rest of time now, apparently, because these shows are never going to be streaming. But it's probably one of my favorite secretary gags.
I love it. Just, it's vacant. Yes. What we first see in the episode itself is Frank saying, hey guys, what's going on? And we have missed this opening interaction between Murphy and Miles already bickering. So, but what we do get to see is Grandshot's wonderful physical humor of being in this kind of tense, stiff, slightly head-cocked position.
Did you notice what it says in the stage directions? It actually, within the line, tells Grant to do a Charlie McCarthy impression, which I just need to say that real quick. Sorry, go ahead.
So Murphy shares with everyone that she tapped Miles at a stoplight. Miles is walking in, stops, and goes, tapped me? And proceeds to rail that his car is ruined, a twisted heap of midnight blue hand-rubbed metal. God is punishing me for buying a German car. Look, I can't even move my head. My favorite part of this moment is that his gestures are moving strictly from his elbows. And to look anywhere, he has to turn his entire body in that direction. Like, I'm waiting for him to show up with like one of those small top throw pillows taped around his neck, trying to make a brace for himself. And he says, all because she wouldn't wait 5 seconds for me to find my station on the radio. Murphy informs everyone that, well, he was holding up traffic for 2 blocks searching for the Osmonds. His car is fine. Trust me. And while she's telling everyone this, what I love is that Miles has made his way over to the coffee station. And in the background of all of this, Corky is giving Miles what appears to be a very unhelpful, very strong shoulder massage.
Yes, which took me, I didn't notice it the first time I watched it.
It's so funny. He looks like he's in more pain and she's not even paying attention to what she's doing to him. She's just obviously giving this massage, but listening to everyone else. And it's just this small little melodrama of pain in the background. So as this is unfolding, Murphy is opening a letter. And all of a sudden she goes, listen. No, everyone, listen. She stands up and starts to read that she has been chosen to receive the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award. And it's all about her piece that she did about the disadvantage called No Place to Call Home. And shares with us that Robert Kennedy was her hero and that this is a high point of her career. And what I love is Miles has made his way around to the other side of the coffee. He's not facing any of them. She goes, and they all go, right, Miles? This is a big deal. And he just goes, yeah, okay, it's pretty great.
Yeah, he can't not show her how important that is.
But it's so sweet. She's super excited in this moment. We rarely get to see her be that blissfully happy about an achievement.
Yeah. And if I may say, I did some research on the Robert F. Kennedy Award for journalism, which I'm embarrassed to say as a child, I thought was made up. Oh. A lot of the information from this time period is just not really online. Mm-hmm. And it looks like this was a time when they only picked one winner because I can only find one recipient that year. And it could just be that it's just not as updated. So this is, I mean, it's prestigious, but like the fact that they only pick one person a year, if this is correct, makes it even more of a big deal.
Well, especially with that name recognition, that's a huge deal.
So this is from their website. It was founded by reporters who covered RFK's historic 1968 presidential campaign. The Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award honors outstanding reporting on issues that reflect Robert Kennedy's concerns, including human rights, social justice, and the power of the individual action in the United States and around the world. And as of today, there are 13 categories.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So as she's, hanging out in this high of the honor, she lets them all know that, it's a really big deal, and she's counting on all of them to be there. And then Corky says this line that kills me every time, which is, "But what about your real family?"
Aww.
To Murphy's credit, she's not really ruffled by this and says, first of all, her parents haven't been in the same room together since signing the divorce papers 15 years ago. Secondly, her mother's in London curating an exhibit, so she couldn't be there anyway. And thirdly, my father is too busy. Because he's always too busy. If he was too busy to watch her win the intramural broad jumping championship in high school, he's too busy for this. Which, some old pain.
Oh, there's tons of pain.
Oh, lots of old pain.
So this reminds me that I was taking a series of screenwriting classes, and my script had adult child and parent issues, and someone's feedback was, I don't think adults really have problems with their parents once they reach adulthood.
Oh, honey.
And then the entire class decided to agree with her.
Oh, so many liars in that room.
So many liars. And I just looked at them, and you're only as smart as the other people in the room, and no one would back me up. And I was like, there's so much television and movies based on that, even if I know that this is the truth. But what? Yeah, no, it's just not a believable issue in your script.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that this relationship is so real, and what's great is that it's just really dripping off of Candice Bergen's words. Like everything that she says, you get it.
Yeah.
You get where this is coming from and how this really shaped her.
Exactly. And we all have that. I think that's why it's relatable. Is that it doesn't matter how powerful you are. The stuff that happened to you as a kid or didn't happen to you as a kid in Murphy's case are the things that make you who you are. Those formative years are called that for a reason.
Yeah, the first 12 years of your life are actually like the most important. And many people with degrees and such will say that you really kind of at the age of 12 kind of form what your personality is going to be for the rest of your life. I mean, obviously there's maturity and things like that, but that's how effective it is.
And that's why people revert. I mean, that's what we do under stress is we go back to the last time that we developed, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's, you spend years in therapy talking about when you were 11.
So in response to this, Jim stands up with Murphy. I don't get involved in your personal life anymore. God knows I still feel responsible for the Richard Gere debacle. And he makes this face. And he shares that he thinks that she should invite at least one parent. She is their only child. To which Frank agrees. Call your father. What's the worst thing that could happen? He'll say no. He won't say no. Come on. And he starts grabbing her by the wrists and starting to pull her toward her office, to which she does the full, the mule digging the heels in, leaning backwards, going, come on, come on, come on.
Love when Candice Bergen does this. She does this a lot. She's like, when she ankles her body in a way, but then also comically when someone gets stiff and someone's trying to pull them in general, it's hilarious.
It's amazing.
But this episode just reminds you how comfortable she feels now and how great she's good with the physical comedy and the verbal comedy. Even when we get, I'm jumping ahead, but when we get into the office and she's trying to think of Karen's name.
Yes. So good.
Linda, Lois, Karen, hi. It's great.
So he's pulling her and she's resisting the entire way. And she starts making excuses. She's like, it's not a good idea. He publishes his magazine. It's hard to get away. He married this new young wife. He has a new baby. I don't know the Chicago area code. Frank goes, 312. Damn you, Frank. And he pulls her into the office.
I love that Frank has such major issues with his own parents, but he knows enough to know that Murphy needs to have a better relationship with her parents, almost as if it's wish fulfillment.
I mean, here's the deal. We all know a lot about the issues that we personally have. we often are the most frustrated with other people in the stuff that we have the most problems.
Oh, very true.
That is the thing that always frustrates me the most about other people, are usually the things that I'm trying to work on. So, of course, Frank is hyper aware of everyone else's parental relationships.
He's a really good friend.
He's wonderful.
In this episode. So Frank pretty much ushers Murphy in, demands that she dials. And she's just sort of rattling on, that she's setting herself up for a fall. She doesn't even remember this woman's name. She's like, something with an L. Lois, Lisa, Lana, hello. Who's this? Karen, hi. So it's not even with an L at all, which is perfect Murphy. Again, talking about reverting back to being a kid, which happens a lot in this episode. Murphy is very uncomfortable. And this is not something that we've seen with Murphy. It's just a phone call. It's just a person. It happens to be her father who she has this hard relationship with. It almost feels like Murphy's hoping he isn't home so she doesn't have to talk to him. She's not sure if he's there. He may have gone out for a power walk.
Yeah.
And then as she's on hold, Murphy goes, years from now, she'll still be telling the story. He left one morning for a power walk and he never came back. Dad. So, of course, she has to stop what she's saying because someone answers the phone. Mm-hmm. She gives him a compliment. She can't say that she's ever seen anyone call Jesse Helms an embarrassment to primates in print before. So Frank is sort of, pushing her to make a decision. And what's great is she starts, actually, I think Frank gives it to her, right? This like stress ball, which is in the script, which I find is very rare with some physical things like that. So it's very, very specific that she needs this stress ball and Frank knows she needs it. So she gets to the point of why she's calling, kind of, rattles it off quickly, that she knows he's probably busy, that he has a lot of obligations, but he asks when it is because she goes 2 weeks from Friday. Really? You're kidding. And then she smiles. You're kidding. Frank smiles and she's shocked, but it sounds like he's coming. Frank is like, you see, you did the right thing. And he's bringing Karen and the baby. Not a happy thing for Murphy, as we will see.
Yup.
So we cut to, obviously, a couple weeks later, because this is the day when her father and Karen and the baby are going to arrive. Miles gets off the elevator in another hyper state of shock. He is checking his pulse with his wrists and his neck. Unbelievable. You're never going to believe this. Of course, everyone is sick of Miles talking about his car. Corky particularly is sick of hearing about it. He goes on and on about how he paid a king's ransom to have some guy with a plunger suck the dent out of it. But he still wants them to sort of, hear him. And what's great is that Jim goes, speed it up, will you? Which I wrote, oh my God, I don't remember Jim being this saucy.
I know, he's so sassy. I love it.
It's kind of amazing that Jim is polite, but if you really push him, he's done with you.
Oh, yeah.
Move it along, mister. I don't want to hear this. So Miles is pulling out of the dealership, driving. He comes up to the same spot where Murphy tried to kill him. And guess what? You're never going to believe in a zillion years. And then the elevator dings, and there's a crowd of people, and you hear a very distinct voice in the back. Mm-hmm. Trying to get through. Women and children first. And nobody listens. And finally, he goes, clear, people clear. He just, instantly, this has to be Murphy's father.
Oh, yeah.
We thought that Avery knew how to clear an elevator. But no, Bill Brown can. And this is what it says. We love to read what it says in the script when we have a new character introduced. Bill Brown steps off the elevator in his mid-60s. He's an imposing man, a seat of his pants kind of presence. He's with Karen Brown, early 30s, very attractive. And Bill Jr., a 6-month-old, swaddled in a blue blanket.
Oh, buddy.
And then all kinds of luggage and children accoutrement, we like to call it. And he just very bluntly goes, Bill Brown, looking for Murphy Brown. Very blunt, gets to the point. Corky comes over and introduces herself. Bill Brown could care less who she is. He needs to see Murphy. Corky remarks how young Karen looks.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they're all surprised. Jim shakes hands with the baby and introduces himself.
Oh, God.
It's so cute, though.
I mean, here's my thing. It's so cute watching Jim do his little, like, Mr. and Mrs. Brown and Baby Brown. Bananas. But
yes, he finds bananas on the hands.
It's all so enveloped by the awkwardness that the situation is, that it was hard for me to enjoy it in a good way. In the situation of the situational comedy really got me in this moment. I was like, oh God, oh God, oh, she's so young. Oh God.
Karen asks if people mind if she breastfeeds.
Which, you know what? Get it, girl.
Well, the only comedy to me is that she says it in front of Jim.
I know, that makes me happy. Poor Jim.
Yeah. Good Lord. So Jim's out.
Yep.
Frank gets Murphy in her office where she is nervously putting on makeup. She looks fantastic. This is very Katharine Hepburn, this look.
Oh, yeah.
Probably one of my favorite looks of the season that she's worn. Mm-hmm. It's like a sort of a brown tailored jacket, good collar, sort of a built-in belt, I think, but not really a belt with the pants. It fits really amazingly. It's because it's tailored, but also it's feminine and masculine at the same time.
Yeah, it's a power look. Mm-hmm. And it's a power look you wear for someone when you're not trying to look sexy, like for your dad.
Yeah, but still looking good.
She looks good.
Yeah. So she wants to know everything about Karen and the baby. Is she smart? Does she support the ERA? Does she wear fur? What do you know, Frank? And Frank just goes, she has legs up to her neck.
Oh, God, Frank.
Nice work, Frank.
Oh, Frank.
So Murphy's just going, what is a 63-year-old man married to a woman younger than his own daughter with a baby? She asks if Frank talked to the baby, which I really appreciate. She has no concept of when children talk.
No.
In fact, I wrote, no one knows anything about babies, and I love it.
Yep, it makes so much sense for this group.
Yeah, no one does. Murphy eventually, goes into the office, but we do have a section cut where Murphy asks Frank how she looks. Mm-hmm. And Frank kind of gives her a pep talk by saying, she's a woman, Karen's a girl. Oh, which is a little weird and awkward, but I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to say, she's just a young girl, and you are an amazing woman, and you are better than her because you're Murphy and I love you and
exactly.
You don't have to be nervous.
Yep. I get the intent.
Yeah, I get the intent. Yeah. So Murphy goes into the bullpen and is greeted by her dad, who calls her Susie Q.
Susie Q.
And then lifts her up in a little childlike spin in which Murphy puts her leg out.
She kicks it out.
Like she's 11 years old.
Yep.
Talk about reverting, as we've said.
Oh.
Murphy thinks that he looks good. Bill says that his wife is having him eat well and exercising. And he's so excited for Murphy to meet Karen and the baby. Murphy finally gets the baby brother she always wanted, which Murphy says she never wanted a baby brother.
She's like, what are you talking about?
And then Karen goes, now, Murphy, I know you want to hold him. Which is
no one knows that.
No one, no. And for someone who seems to act like she is in tune with everything, she did not get this at all. And I think it's cut from the script as, I can see him fine from here. I don't think that's actually in the episode.
I don't think that happened in the episode.
So Murphy ends up holding the baby like a sack of potatoes.
Yes, that is dripping, like keeping it as far away as possible.
And then, of course, the baby just starts crying right away because you do not hold a baby like a sack of flour. Mm-hmm. And then everyone just ignores the crying. And Bill's like, all right, Murphy's got the baby. We're going to get the stuff. Let's get out of here.
But Murphy's like, I don't have the baby. I don't have the baby.
I don't have the baby. I don't. And then Frank puts one of the bags on Murphy as she's holding the baby.
It's such a plonk. He just plonks it over her head.
Good luck. Cut to the townhouse.
So we enter the townhouse and, shocking no one, little Billy is still crying the same way as we just left him. He's being held in the same position as when we last saw him, walking in through the door, to which Bill says, old adult Bill, I'm going to say Bill and Billy. So Bill turns and goes, well, that was an interesting experience. Murphy doesn't like you. Why doesn't he like you? Just immediately in. Murphy's holding the baby out. And you know what? I just got to give Karen some props. She's doing her best.
She's trying.
She's a nice girl. Poor Karen. I feel a lot for Karen in this episode. And she goes, well, it's just because they haven't bonded yet. It'll happen. And she turns to Murphy. She goes, it feels so good holding him, doesn't it? Murphy's like, yeah, who else wants to feel good? Karen? And hands Billy over to his mother, and he immediately stops crying. It's that perfect comic gold of the second that Murphy is not touching him, happy baby. Super happy baby. So she's like, let's go into the living room. She's walking her way in, and as soon as she enters the living room, we see just the bottom half of Eldon because he's on scaffolding in the middle of the living room.
No, Eldon, no.
There's nowhere to sit comfortably here. Mm-mm. She goes, oh, no. What are you doing, Eldon? What are you doing? Eldon goes, painting your ceiling? And he, with his roller up on the ceiling. This is when I start to remember why I love Bill so much. Mm-hmm. Really, this scene and on through the rest of the full episode. But he goes, what the hell is he painting up there? The Statue of Liberty? In a Toyota? What does that mean?
I love the way he says Toyota. In a Toyota?
A Toyota?
I can't even do it. Toyota? I don't know. It's very, very distinct to Darren McGavin.
What does that mean? Eldon gets down and says, oh, he's particularly fond of this one, and starts looking up at his great work, saying that it symbolizes the Japanese purchase of the American spirit. Bill looks at him and goes, I can't stay here. And he starts to, again, kudos to Karen. As Bill is making this big, I cannot stay here with these crazy people, Karen insists that they are not going anywhere, that they are here to support Murphy and for her to bond with her new baby brother. And you know what? Karen's not wrong. Go, Karen. She is one of the only adults who is actually thinking about the reason they are there. And she's the young one. But her saying Murphy's new brother with his new sister sparks Eldon's interest. And Eldon walks over to Bill and goes, this your baby? Whoa, way to go, Bill. Pretty gutsy trying that again, considering what happened the first time.
Also, if I may say, this baby is a contemporary of her son.
Uh-huh.
And I had almost wondered if he was going to show up in the revival.
I was always a little curious about that, if her brother and her son were going to be contemporaries in the show.
There's someone who's around your age. Like, it would probably be more like feel like a cousin relationship, even though he was his uncle.
Yeah. There's a whole I'm my own grandpa confusion about this whole thing that I'm just like would not even be able to fathom. But yeah, I did wonder that, especially being raised by, Bill Brown. The apples don't seem to fall very far from the tree in this family. So I would have been interested if Billy would have shown up at some point.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting, his relationship with Avery.
Mm-hmm. So they're kind of settling in. Karen goes off. I think she goes off to change, right? Or to get freshened up.
I think so.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Eldon goes into the kitchen. We end up with Bill sitting, Murphy kind of settling down next to him, and they're looking at little Billy in his little bassinet, his little car seat. And Murphy tries to strike up a conversation to say, wow, things have really changed, haven't they, Dad? Bill goes, not really. Noriega's still in Panama, and there's a Republican again in the White House. Murphy's like, no, not like that. It's just with you. You got a new wife and a new baby. And, she knows he's never been one for kids. And then we look over at Bill, and he just goes, he looks just like me, doesn't he? And he starts gooing over this baby immediately.
Oh, poor Murphy.
Poor Murphy. And she's saved by a knock at the door. Oh.
Who could it be?
Who could it be? So Murphy leaves Bill, who is loudly cooing over this baby in the background, opens the door, and surprise!
Avery Brown!
It's Avery Brown. As I wrote in all caps, it is Queen Colleen Dewhurst in a brilliant blue outfit with a fabulous black feathered hat. I am cosplaying this immediately. I do not care who gets it.
Please, will you do that?
I will make this happen. This outfit is fantastic. It is brilliantly blue. And she's the best. And of course, like us, the crowd goes wild in the audience.
Insane. Like, we did not know there were two major guest stars in this episode. Oh my God.
It was that great thing of, you're hoping this is what's about to happen, but you're not going to assume that you're going to get both him and Colleen Dewhurst in an episode.
Well, yeah. In fact, I forgot to mention that he does get entrance applause when he comes in.
It's a big deal.
It is a very, very big deal. And we'll go into who Darren McGavin is in a moment, but continue with the fabulous Colleen Dewhurst.
Well, Ms. Avery, of course, because Colleen Dewhurst is a great professional, has that perfect, that thing that happens when you have a live studio audience or you're a theater actor, the people who are able to play audience applause or reaction and live in the swell of that moment. So she's still in character the entire time, but the space makes sense as to why she hasn't spoken yet. It's a true gift. And she has this ability to just swell in the doorway with her and then makes her way into the foyer to put her stuff down. And she has not looked into the living room. She's moved off to the left when she first enters at the table. And she has this great floral hat. What am I trying to say? Hat bag. Okay, I'm right.
Yeah,
I was about to
right? There's not an actual name for it. It's a hat bag.
It's a hat bag. But it's beautiful. It's got kind of looks like a floral couch threw up on it. I love it.
And I love that detail.
Oh, it's so good.
They were like, well, this is a woman who has a lot of hats. She must have a bag and a hat bag.
Look at the hat she's wearing. I think that's the bag for that hat.
It's just one bag for one hat.
Worth it for that hat. And she puts her stuff down and she turns around and says, I've got a bone to pick with you, my daughter, which felt very Marilla Cuthbert in my heart. I hate finding out about your life from the newspaper, especially when there's going to be a large party and I'm not invited. And she shares with her that she decided she was going to fly back to be with her. After all, it's a very big deal and she should be a part of it. And suddenly she starts sniffing the air. And she says she smells paint and she starts to smile, which I love. Old Spice. And she starts sniffing and following her nose. And what I love about this is the choice in which it is a pleasant memory. Like she's smiling at it and you're realizing that, yeah, this used to be a good thing. So she starts kind of following her nose around into the living room. She goes, she hasn't smelled Old Spice since. And she sees Bill. She hears the cooing, goes, oh my God. In the most Colleen Dewhurst of low rasp.
And let's again remind the audience, this is 1989. She has not seen him since 1974.
Yes. And she remembers why perhaps she didn't used to smile at Old Spice.
Yes.
Bill paused. The entire audience, again, goes wild for the two of them. This is about to be one of the great banters of all time. And
same. Should we take a roll? Because
yes.
I know this very well. Who would you like to be?
I'd love to be Avery.
Okay, I will be Bill.
Do we have the script?
I mean, I have it written down. Let's read it properly. You're right. Let's go to the script, guys.
Let's go to the script.
Talk amongst yourselves. Even though I literally was while I watched this part of the episode, I was just talking along with her.
Oh yes. Next one. Oh my God, this is one of my favorites. While we wait, I just want to read the description of Avery, which is
yes, please.
Avery Brown is as we remember her. Tall, strong, elegantly dressed, and wearing a hat few women other than herself could get away with. She has a suitcase. Oh. She walks into the entryway. It's so accurate.
Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
From her seeing Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God.
Avery, what the hell are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I live here.
You don't live here, Mother.
Well, I visited here once, so I know where things are, and that's almost the same thing. And what have we here? Amazing, Bill. At your age, one would think you'd be shooting blanks.
It helps to have a live target.
So from that moment, that lovely introduction, what I wrote is he turns, smiles at her, and then says the target line. And you're like, oh, these two are ready to rock.
He does. Oh, he just wants to get her.
They're so
Your hat. Also, your hat is stupid.
Oh my God, yes, that's coming. And so what I wrote is the crowd is so into this face-off that it again takes another moment for Murphy to be able to try and smooth it over in her next line. She gets physically between them and goes and does a whole like, oh, I mean, who could have imagined this was going to happen? And Bill turns and instead of responding to her, just goes, that hat is stupid. He does this long id.
He does.
That hat is stupid. Avery says she can't stay here. She knows it's a huge disappointment, but she'll need a hotel. Murphy very excitedly says that she'll go call Georgetown Inn, and unfortunately has to leave them alone. At which point, Eldon arrives from the kitchen. Eldon is so excited to see Avery, and she is so excited to see Eldon with an, oh, Mr. Bernicki, which I love her respect for him.
I know.
She like takes his elbow. They begin to walk down stage. It's very theatrical, this moment.
So question.
Yes.
The way that Colleen reads this, something told me you still be here. Do you think that she thinks that there's going to be a thing between the two of them?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's one, I knew you weren't done. And two, I thought there might be something
I thought you'd
happening.
be here. Because I read it. I was like, Avery, what were you, did you try to do a little matchmaking there? Yeah. I thought you'd still be here. There was just something in there.
Yeah, I kind of think it was a little, I think it's one, she knows Eldon was not leaving anytime soon. And two, I think she was coming up with ideas as to why. I think she was kind of like, oh, my daughter has taken a lover kind of thing.
Yes. Well, we all know. I mean, she did have a thing with the gardener.
Yeah.
Which we
I think
find
she
out
thinks
later.
it's, again, apple tree. I think she thinks this is what's happening.
Not far to go.
Nope.
Wake up in the morning, sex is there.
Get it, ladies. Get it. So,
but sex goes home at night.
Yep.
Anyway.
So she says, something told me that you would still be here, as she kind of flirtatiously walks down holding his elbow and says, I was thinking about you recently. She apparently had seen an exhibit of primitive wall paintings in Malawi. And as they're standing there, Eldon says, have you seen my latest work? Cast your eyes skyward. She goes, Oh, the usurping of American ingenuity by Asian industrialism. Very bold perspective.
The satirical painting has long been maligned to those who do not believe it is a true art form.
What is art, really? The debate goes on.
I've missed our little talks so much.
The two of them?
So cute.
They're
so cute.
They're so wonderful. They're so perfect for each other. Like, I just want Avery to take Eldon away as a lover. So at that moment, poor Karen appears. And Avery whooshes around to face her and says, "Hello. Well, I have a feeling I know who you are. Aren't you going to introduce us, Bill?" Probably not.
No. Also, if I may say, Karen again completely misunderstanding that Murphy would want to do yoga.
Oh, yes. Karen did come down offering to do yoga. And which sends Avery swooping up to be like, "Oh, hello." So Avery introduces herself with, "I'm Avery Brown, the original wife. The one who married him in college and gave up her own career so that she could support him while he was starting a newspaper, bore him a child, raised it, and then one day was told that he was bored and he was leaving, and you are,
Karen, this is a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to act out this
I
whole
know.
thing.
It's so good.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. It's just so good.
It's so good. But sweet Karen is trying to say it doesn't need to be awkward. It's all going to be okay.
Can I say one of my favorite lines?
Yes.
Okay. Never got over your obsession with breasts, did you, Bill?
To which Eldon's in the background. He's standing there and goes, "Let's see, go to the paint store or stay here and watch this? I think I'll stay," and climbs up to take a seat on the scaffolding. Murphy swoops back into the room, very excited to say that Georgetown Inn has a room for Avery, but only if she's there in 15 minutes, so she better get going. And Avery suddenly realized she doesn't think it's right to go to a hotel. Not when she's here for her daughter so they can spend time together. She'll just sleep in the den. To which Bill remarks that it's just like old times. And Avery ignores that and says that she's going to go freshen up and takes herself away. Murphy turns to Karen and says, "Interesting family, kind of like a Fellini version of the Waltons."
That is so dead on.
It is spot on.
Now we cut to, which by the way, the first run syndication only showed me the scene with Murphy and Karen, and I only got to see once when this aired because I did watch this episode air. Mm-hmm. The amazing 3-person scene at the end of this episode. Oh. I'm just warning. So like some of this is new to me, which is kind of fun. Yeah. But first we have Murphy's bedroom.
Oh, Murphy.
And Murphy is sound asleep. And as we know, Murphy does not like to be woken up.
Oh, no.
Not one bit at all. So we heard this loud knock on the door, and Karen sort of makes her way in and does that sort of, "Oh, did I wake you? Oh, I thought because you'd be awake, I'd be awake. And oh, well, you're awake now. We should just talk." Which, of course, is not, everyone knows in sitcoms and comedy, that means you wanted to talk and you wanted to wake them up so you could talk, and then you pretended like you didn't. Karen is dressed in this really sort of beautiful 80s nightgown, low neckline, a little robe over it. Really quite lovely. Her hair kind of pulled back a little bit. And Murphy is just Murphy, sleep hair, beautiful, really comfy pajamas that we know. But my favorite part of this is every time Karen tries to talk, and she's obviously either really nervous or had a lot of coffee because she's just talking really, really fast, but she has a lot to say. Murphy just looks at her and goes, "What?" Which I just love and relate to Murphy being woken up, because this is definitely me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Particularly if I've just fallen asleep. Mm-hmm. Because if I've just been into REM, in fact, one time someone woke me up just when I hit REM and I thought I was going to vomit.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. It's so real. And I just feel like up until now, you never saw that. Women woke up, or like in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, right? Where she, in the middle of the night, she wakes up and then puts her face up like it really is, and then wakes up before her husband does and puts her makeup on. We always saw that in television.
Mm-hmm.
A woman just looked really great while she was sleeping. Not realistic.
No.
Which I really appreciate.
Well, for example, every Thanksgiving I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and my biggest gripe about that movie is that Steve Martin's wife is laying in bed waiting for him to come home with a full face of like delicate makeup with like pink lip gloss on, and it drives me insane.
Well, Karen's just going on about how, she thinks it's really best that she leave. She kind of gets actually, the one time that she is correct about the situation, again, so far she's not really gotten Murphy, but she's getting what's happening between her husband and his first wife, and thinks that maybe she should leave and have the three of them kind of have their own time. She's going to leave Bill Jr. because she thinks it's important. Although I wonder if Karen thinks it's important. I think Karen wants to get away. I think Karen's being a little selfish. I think she might think that she's not being, but she could have brought that baby with her. That makes me think that she needs some alone time. And you know what? She's a new mom, and that's okay.
I think Karen's a little overwhelmed, and I think she's looking out for her. And I think right now that's okay.
Yeah, so she's going to take the shuttle to New York. She feels this is the best thing to do. Murphy isn't really absorbing any of this. Until, of course, she says, new husband, new baby. It'd be nice to sleep alone for a while. Your father needs a lot of sex. I mean, I like sex. But then she's like, whoa. Because no one wants to hear how their father needs sex every day.
No one.
No,
truly
no one
no
needs
one.
to hear that. Particularly Murphy. So she really sort of, makes her stop. She's like, you, my father, sit. I love that Candace goes, sit, and then just like doesn't finish the word sex. Like Murphy just can't even like say it. It's just so gross for her to think about. And so Karen's gonna go and she says, sweet dreams. And then Murphy goes, sure, if you like cigars and tunnels.
Oh God. So Murphy seems to think that she is finally going to get that sleep she's been so needing. And shocking to no one, another figure arrives in the dark. We can see through the slight sheen of the floral robe that it's Avery, coming in, holding a box. Murphy, wake up. Turns on the lights. I'm awake. Good. I forgot to give you this. It's a present. And appears to Murphy's, well, I guess we would say stage left, but our right of Murphy. And she says, it's a handmade tam from Scotland. I saw it and I thought of you. This is where we start learning that Avery really always needed Murphy to wear hats like she does.
Yeah.
And Murphy doesn't do hats like she does.
No, and she gave it to her the first episode in season 1, And I watched the dog eat it into a million pieces. Ha!
Yeah, it really starts getting confirmed in this episode, especially with an entrance to come. And
yes.
Murphy says, gee, thanks. I needed one of these. And for anybody who's not immediately familiar with a tam, it's that traditional kind of Scottish, I don't want to say beret, but kind of like the Scottish beret with it's in the plaid and it's got the pom-pom on top. Nice round, cultural hat.
And as it says in the stage directions, it looks ridiculous on her.
It looks bad because she is told to try it on because Avery wants to see it.
Yeah, of course. That's what all moms want to see, how the gift that I brought you looks like.
Yes. And she puts it on and Murphy, you can really wear hats. And Murphy clearly doesn't believe her. But too late. Avery's settling into bed on top of the comforters, kind of sandwiching her in. We'll see in a minute why that's important. Settling into to sitting upright in the bed and says, so what should we talk about? Murphy thinks that maybe they should be sleeping. Oh, you're such an old lady. Let's stay up all night talking about things that interest us. Art, theater, Karen. I hate Karen, don't you?
I love that. I hate art, religion, Karen. I hate Karen, don't you?
Don't you? And Bill enters. He starts walking and saying he saw the door open and the lights were on. Oh, it's you. Avery turns. We're talking, Bill, about women's things. Pantyhose, childbirth, get out.
I love that line.
Are you making her wear hats again? Don't do that, Avery. She doesn't look good in hats.
See, Bill sees the truth.
He does. It's really not her thing.
Yeah. This reminded me of how much during this time period in, 89 to the 90s, I so wanted to look good in hats.
Same.
And I did not. Because Blossom was really big around this.
I wanted a Blossom hat. I wanted to rock that.
I wanted to. And then Clarissa Explains It All,
yes.
also really big about hats. And I would try so hard. But as I was thinking about this, at the time, I remember thinking how I would never look good in hats. And now, not to humble brag myself, I wear a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually feel comfortable. Maybe it was me that didn't feel comfortable and not the hat. Maybe I've become more secure.
I'm just saying, I think I grew into hats.
That too. So maybe that is. I don't know, but I definitely did not look good in hats, and this reminded me of how I desperately wanted to.
I just remember being really resentful that I looked the best in the types of hats I didn't want to wear. They were never the ones that were trendy at the time.
No. Those the big blossom hats.
The bucket hats. Loved them.
Yeah. Did not look good in them.
We digress. So
Yes,
Avery
anyway.
is very happy, sarcastically, that Bill is now an expert in fashion. Does he still have those 12 pairs of desert boots? Here we go again.
Oh, also, did we mention that he's wearing a kimono?
Oh, we did not. It is short.
Yes, it is.
It is a look. So Bill, in response, starts working his way to the other side of the bed, yelling about, here we go again, the critic. Let me get a pen and pad. I want to get every word down. And he starts making his way to the other side of the bed. pushing himself sitting upright on the other side of Murphy, and she is now completely sandwiched in and held down by her own covers by these two. And Avery says, let me begin with, who do you think you are gallivanting around with a woman half your age? Because a woman your age can't keep up with me. Oh, excuse me. I was forgetting I was talking to a man who now wears Italian underwear they sell in a tube. During this interchange, Murphy is slowly sliding under her covers, and we're starting to only see the top of her hat. And in Bill's next retort, he starts to say, well, she hasn't changed a bit, still sucking on that lemon. And Murphy springs up out of her covers with a, hold it, hold it, hold it. What is going on here? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. This is supposed to be one of the best days of my life, and you two are at each other's throats. What kind of family is this supposed to be? I mean, we're all adults here, right? To which Bill goes, would you please take off that hat? And Murphy now says a wonderful little monologue. Lauren, would you like to read it?
Oh, sure. People will talk about their big Thanksgivings, and I tell about how Dad saw Mother's purse in half with the electric knife. You should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, you can't hold it together for one day so I can enjoy myself. Is that too much to ask?
And to their credit, they both look ashamed. Bill's standing at this point, and he tells his Susie Q that he gets what she's saying. She's absolutely right. He walks around to the other side of the bed where Avery is and says he doesn't know about her, but he's willing to put aside the old differences. And Avery says she thinks she can too. And right at that moment, Eldon enters, holding a glass of milk and a little plate of cookies. Oh, so this is where everyone is. Avery very generously offers that maybe they should start by having lunch together tomorrow at Le Monde. Bill turns immediately back into Bill and says, is that a jacket and tie kind of joint? I don't like that. What about the fish house off Connecticut? Since when do you eat fish? Since I found someone who can cook it. I love in the directions it says, Murphy sees it's futile, puts the blankets over her head. And the two of them exit, bickering the entire way off screen. And I just wrote, and they're off. And Eldon sitting there with Murphy just goes, I hate it when Mom and Dad fight. And Murphy takes a cookie.
And then that is the end of part 1.
What will happen next, kids? Only good things, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And more cut stuff, unfortunately. Should we quickly talk about Darren McGavin?
Let's talk about Bill.
So at the time, most people actually knew Darren McGavin from a television series he did. I know most people today will probably know him from A Christmas Story.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
But, and I know, Jesse, you know this movie more than I do, but my understanding is that it really was a cult hit.
Oh, yes.
Was not a big successful movie when it came out.
And now it's become one that, we have TV channels that's 24 hours a day on Christmas play that movie. My family was very partial to it. One, because we grew up in the snowy tundra of Minnesota. And also because my father in particular would laugh so hard at that movie that it was like high-pitched girl giggling by the end. And there's something about that leg lamp. It's just a classic.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, even The Wizard of Oz, not a big hit. And then they showed it on television and it became the classic it is today. So this is so embarrassing. I don't really know how to say it because I've never actually seen the show. I think it's called Kolchak. And I know it as Night Stalker.
I say Kolchak. Yeah, the full name is Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Thank you. And it became sort of like a cult classic.
Oh, yeah.
He also was, on Marcus Welby, MD. He played, funny enough, General George S. Patton in a television biography. Because as many people may know, Colleen Dewhurst's first husband, and I think technically second, didn't they get remarried? Anyway, I'm forgetting the whole bio we talked about. We do these episodes and then it goes out of my head and I'm forgetting Colleen Dewhurst's bio as I'm talking. Anyway, George C. Scott was married to Colleen Dewhurst and he, of course, won the Oscar and most famously played George S. Patton in the movie Patton. So that's funny, isn't it?
And yes, she was remarried to George C. Scott. They got married again and divorced again.
That's what I thought. I was like, why am I second guessing myself?
You're right.
Thank you. He was a member of the Actors Studio. He studied with Sanford Meisner. He studied at the Neighborhood Playhouse. On Broadway, he was in Death of a Salesman, Rainmaker, The King and I. Really a well-known actor of his time, which is why he got entrance applause. Everyone knew who he was. What's interesting is that according to a few of his obituaries, it says that he won the Emmy for this episode. But that is not true.
Yeah.
Jay Thomas won the Emmy this year for Best Guest Actor in a Comedy.
Oh, that guy.
and beat him. And so I know that. And so when I'm reading these, I went, well, did he win it for season 4 then? I look it up. He did not win an Emmy. And I don't know why some of these obituaries say that he won the Emmy for this episode of Murphy Brown, which he did not.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think he is somebody that I would assume had.
Exactly. That's why I thought, they must have gotten confused. Maybe it's for like a different Emmy. No. And in fact, I think they might have gotten this mistake from the Emmy website.
Oh.
Because the Emmy obituary also says he won an Emmy in 1990 for playing Candice Bergen's father.
Oh.
So I see why maybe but still, it's wrong.
Yeah, it's still wrong.
So it's funny how things, get passed on. He died in 2006 at the age of 83.
Wow, that was so recent. I mean, I guess not. That was 13 years ago. But to me, it was so recent.
Something also interesting, according to this obituary in the New York Times, is his son's name was Bogart.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm assuming for Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, I'm going to assume.
And he was the voice of Budweiser at one point for This Bud's For You commercial.
That sounds about right. That all-American older male voice.
Well, he should have won an Emmy.
Absolutely.
Wish there could have been a tie. And so the actress who played Karen is Susan Wheeler Duff. She doesn't have that large of a resume, but she now goes by Susan Morse because she's married to David Morse, who you may know from The Green Mile, or
David
particularly
Morse, I know very well.
Yeah. Most people, I think, might also know him from St. Elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an amazing resume. I say that just because that's the name that she's known by now. I'm not trying to define her by her husband. But she wrote a book about her relationship as a caretaker to her mother under that pen name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So she's sort of got her own non-acting career going right now.
Love it. Love her. Love Karen. More Karen to come.
Yeah. And she looks great because here's something interesting. Susan, aka Karen, is about the same age that Bill is in this episode.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. She's 61 now.
Well, all right.
But looks amazing from these pictures. Definitely look her up. Good living. Okay, well, so this was part 1. Stay tuned for Brown Like Me part 2.
Can you imagine if we just never did part 2 and just left them like this? They'd be so angry with us.
Cliffhanger, what are you going to do? Oh no. Well, if you want to see part 2, you should support us on our Patreon.
Oh, hey, how do they find that, Lauren?
That would be at murphybrownpod.com/donate. I say that because not only could you join our Patreon, you could just give a one-time donation because it really helps independent podcasts like ourselves to continue and to thrive and to actually produce shows.
Sure, yeah. If you're looking for some non-traditional holiday giving, that's a great way to do it. And you can also find links to other places just like us while you're there.
Yeah.
And of course, you can also support us by interacting with us on our social media. We are at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Murphy Brown Pod. We love to hear from you guys. We always try to get back to you as quickly as we can. It's just really fun to share in this community that we enjoy so much. So please hang out with us there.
And we'll see you soon
For another edition of FYI.
the Murphy Brown Podcast. I'm sorry, I'm weird right now. Okay.